Hey everyone, welcome here to Musicians Edition. I'm Evan, and on the piano we're going to be tackling seventh chords. I've been wanting to do a chord series for the piano, and we're going to start off with the most accessible and most common of the chords outside of a standard 1-3-5 triad, and that's going to be a 4-note chord where we add a seventh on top of that. So widely popular in all kinds of modern and classical music. These seventh chords are very versatile, and you will hear them pop up a whole lot. So we're going to hop on the piano and break down the three most common types. All right, so our prerequisite here is going to be that you have some knowledge of chords. You're familiar at least with a 1-3-5 triad. 1-3-5 triad there being C major. We also have C minor. Those are the most common chords that everybody should be starting with. I've covered those here in Musicians Edition, and hopefully you're familiar with those basic triads. That's the 1 being the root note, the 3 being our third, that's the major third determining if we're a major or minor chord, and the 5th up here. So C, E, G, or any other one. Those are our 1-3-5 triads. So we're going to look at our first 4-note chord, which is going to be these seventh chords. So all we do, and we're going to look at the three different types here, all we do is we're going to add one extra note at the top. This is a 1-3-5. We need to find the 7 that's going to get added on top. And for a major chord, it's super easy. So all we're going to do for the major seventh chord is take that standard 1-3-5 triad, C, E, G, in the case of C major, and that 7th we're going to add on is just the note that's 1 below the root note. 1 below the root note is B. So we're just going to add the B up top. So 1, 3, 5, 7. And that is our C major 7 chord. And we copy and paste that same exact thing to any other chord. The 7th we're going to add on to a major 7 is always just 1 below the root note, right there. So you get that little color of the 7th as opposed to the regular triad. Okay? And there is our C major 7. Again, copy paste to any other chord. A D major, 1 below D is C sharp. That's the one we're going to add. E major, 1 below E is D sharp. Right there. There it is. And for F, 1 below F is E. There it is. So that is the major 7 chord. Very, very easy. A 1-3-5 and just adding in that one note that is just below the root. You will come across this as you read sheets, as you come across chords for songs, and they are very, very common to be used.
This lesson is brought to you by the Musicians Edition practice book. Make goals and keep track of progress throughout the whole year. When you're done with this video lesson, don't forget to mark this practice time in your Musicians Edition practice book. Now back to the video.
All right, we're going to look at dominant sevenths next. Dominant sevenths are the same, but just one small change. That one small change being our 7th note is going to go down 1. So this is now 2 down from the root note for the 7th we're going to add on. So in the case of C, it's going to be a B flat. That is a dominant 7th chord. Now compare it to your major 7th. Okay, definitely a different sounding characteristic to it. These are most commonly used, and if you're familiar with scale degrees and chord progressions at all, if you're not, I did do a series on that as well too. The 5 chord in any chord progression is going to use a dominant 7th if it does use a 7th. Because the 5 chord, the dominant 7th, is what fits in that key or scale naturally. So you're going to hear that a lot where you might have a 1 chord that's going to use its regular major 7th, but then when you do get to that 5 chord in that progression, it's going to use a dominant 7th. All right, so that is where we'll most commonly hear it. That 5 chord is used all over the place in chord progressions, and so that dominant 7th with that 5 chord is also used all over the place. So it's good to know that one as well. Again, we can move to any other note, like D, and remember we go 2 down this time for the flat 7th. There's D7, that's how it's written, and dominant 7th chords are just C7, D7, whatever it is, as opposed to C major 7. C7. Again with D, let's shift on over to E, 2 down, puts you at D, go to F. Instead of E, we're gonna go to E flat. And that's it for all these. So major triad with a flat 7. That's your dominant 7th chord. Our last one is gonna be a minor 7th. A minor 7th from the dominant 7th is just one more change, and that's going to be a minor triad below this minor or flat 7 that we were playing. So this is our dominant chord. This is our minor 7th chord. So big change there because we are shifting the 3rd down from a major to a minor. So dominant 7th to minor 7th. Okay? So 1, minor 3rd, 5, minor 7th. All right, copy and paste it anywhere. Find your D minor chord, add in your minor 7th, which is 2 down from the root, right there. E, minor 7, F, minor 7. Same idea. So those are our 3 different types of 7th chords. That's all there is to them. We're going to be using these in different songs we read and different songs we play, so try to recognize those. If you're reading with the left hand especially, you see 4 notes stacked on top of each other, all a 3rd apart, well then you found a 7th chord. All right, so to recognize this on a sheet, when you come across it, it's just going to look like 4 notes that are all a 3rd apart from each other. So 3 notes that were a 3rd apart is a standard triad. That 7th is just a 3rd up from the 5, so it's all odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7. So you're going to see this 3rds apart and all the spaces, space, 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 or line, 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 always a 3rd apart to recognize those 7th chords. So pay attention to the difference in how each of these sound if you are one that composes your own music or to be able to hear it in songs. Major 7 versus dominant 7 versus minor 7th. All right, this is a little table so you can just compare the difference in the 3 of those. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 5, and flat 7. Just to recap those 3 4-note chords. So I love chords myself. I'm going to continue this series to go over different types of chords, so stay tuned as we go into more advanced ones. And always have fun playing around with those chords, and we'll see you next time.